Hi, my name is Verneisha. I'm here to tell you my testimony today so that anyone out there might have the same issues that I had. As a child, I lived a pretty good life. Um, my parents wasn't into church or anything, but it was pretty stable. And then when I was 8 years old, my mother and my father got divorced. And there were some things that went on with me as a child that I could never fight. It was always on my mind, and um, I felt like it was driving me crazy, honestly. Um, my mother and father got divorced when I was 8, and from 6 until 12, um, the abuse, the mental, the physical, and the sexual abuse from my father drained my life. I uh, I didn't know which way to go. My mom and dad got a divorce, and now I'm in a single family with my mother that works all the time. So I started getting wild, and I started turning to drugs, drinking all the time, and at 15 years old, I became a mother. And my life changed being a mother, but it even got stronger because here I am lost and uh don't know how to deal with myself, but now I'm going to be a mom. And as time progressed, it was so hard to deal with the situations, and I just kept turning to whoever I felt was loving me. Well, I had my daughter, and 13 months later, I was pregnant again. Here I am, 15, with one child, and I'm with my daughter's dad, and he gets in some trouble, and he goes to prison. And then it got real hard for me. And I was I was lost. I didn't know what to do anymore. I just kept turning to these guys that I thought loved me. And I ended up pregnant with my third child. And I got married. And my husband was an addict. And he got in trouble himself. And he decided to start tattling on people. So he and I was at the grocery store, and I had my 8-month-old daughter in my hands. And one of the guys that he tattled on come up with a knife and tried to slice his throat with my daughter in his hands. I hated drug addicts. Even though I was one, I thought it was okay because, well, my doctor gave me all my meds, so I didn't turn to the streets for drugs, but I abused the ones that my doctor gave me. And after that happened, I left the grocery store that day and walked away from my husband because of what had happened. So now I'm a single mom of 4 kids, and I'm lost. I'm trying to work, I'm trying to feed them, I'm trying to do this and do that. Thank God for my mom. She helped me a lot. My grandmother did too. But I just kept turning to those I thought loved me, and they just kept draining me. And my addiction got stronger because not only was the doctor giving me every medication under the sun, but I was abusing them as well. I got caught up in it so bad that I started seeing this guy, and I never done street drugs. Yeah, I smoked marijuana, but I never did street drugs to where I needed them, and I couldn't get past it. I hated addicts. If I saw somebody on the side of the road ODing, I'd be like, that's what they get for putting it in their system. Which I was wrong for that, because I've lost many, including my best friend, because I didn't understand it. And so I was doing the mom thing when my oldest daughter was a little over a year. She went into a seizure and died on me. And I was so lost. I didn't know God. I mean, yeah, I went to church functions with Grandma and Grandpa, but I was just going to go out to eat afterwards, I didn't know God. And my daughter had seizures. And due to her having seizures, my daughter's dad had been in trouble for abuse. So when my daughter had her seizure, I wasn't allowed to see her. They thought the worst had happened to my daughter. The police were so full in the hospital, and I was just a lost soul crying. I didn't even know how to call on God. And they told me that they had to lifeline my daughter out to Riley Hospital. And I had to drive. I didn't even have my driver's license. I had 2 kids, no driver's license. And so my uncle took me to Riley, and I got there, and the doctors had come out and told me, we don't know if your daughter's gonna wake up. We don't even know if she's gonna make it. But she's in a coma, and when she comes out of the elevator, I just want you to be prepared. I wasn't not prepared at all to see what they had just told me that I was going to see of my baby. So I hit the floor, and I just start crying and screaming, Lord, whatever it takes. Please don't take my baby. Whatever you do, Lord, please just wake her up and make her okay. And he did just that. The elevator doors opened up, and my baby sat straight up on that bed, screaming for me. And like other people, I was like, yeah, God did it, and I wasn't set on it. I wasn't even sure about God myself. But I knew I had just prayed, and my baby woke up. So I did the time there with her. We found out that she had focal cortical dysplasia. They told me for many years that she had a tumor on her brain. And as the years went on, she had to do sleep studies. I had to take her to get MRIs every 6 months to make sure her tumor wasn't growing and this and that. Thank God it never did. But I got her home, and it probably wasn't even 6 months later, and my second daughter was going in. It might have been longer than that. But I'd walked them to the ice cream store, and when I got back, my handprints was on my daughter's hand from me holding her hand. It was just a bruise. And I noticed she had bruises on her, like from playing and stuff, but they wasn't normal play bruises. So back to Riley we went. She was on the cancer unit. Wasn't even 2 years old. And I'm like, Lord, please just heal my baby. I'll do anything you want me to do. Just just if it's cancer, clear it. Do whatever you can. Just please don't take my baby. So she was there, and they wanted to do a blood transfusion. And I talked to her grandmother about it, and we asked what the other options was, because we had, back at that time, there wasn't a lot of technology and stuff, and my biggest thing was, well, she gets a blood transfusion, is she going to be HIV positive afterwards? And they told me that there was a chance of that. And I asked him if there was any other options, and there was a medication that they were going to try before the blood transfusion. Thank God it worked. So we spent days on there, made sure she wasn't bruising, and that she was going to be all right. That still never got me close to God. I don't know why. I was bitter. I was bound and bitter. And so going forward, here I am raising 4 kids by myself. And doing the most. I was young. And my oldest daughter done most of my help. She was my babysitter. She was my house cleaner. She done it all. And that was a lot for a mother to put on her daughter. And I regret it to this day. Because there's so much hate in her heart for me. But to continue, I left my husband. I got in a relationship with another man. And it was great. Everything I wanted. He was great with my kids, And we spent 13 years together. And my addiction even got stronger. Because here I am, a mom, trying to make the best of a relationship, putting a lot on my oldest too, to make this man happy. Or I thought I was making him happy. And we spent 13 years together. And it was good and it was bad. Then he and I had parted our ways, and I was really lost. I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with this man. Um, he helped me raise my kids, and he was with my youngest from 8 months till just like a month or so ago, and God took him home. But I wasn't strong. I was a very weak person. I ran off medication. And I was a very, very mean person. I had so much hate in my heart that if my girls came home and told me that somebody was messing with them, I was going after them. Because of the abuse that I went through in my life, I refused to let anybody bully or hurt my children in any way. When I thought I was helping them, I was really hurting them. Because I'm the crazy mom that's jumping out of the car, chasing people down the road, thinking that I'm invincible because of the medication that I kept feeding myself. I put my kids through a lot. They saw a lot. I tried to kill myself. I was so bitter that I used my hands a lot. If I got disrespected, well, you was going to get it back. And I have shame for that. Because that's really not who I was. Or who I am, should I say. But I had so much guilt and pain and shame that that's all I knew. Weekends, when I was off work, I'd go to the bars. I'd spend my money going to bingo halls because I had an addiction of gambling. And I left my oldest daughter to be the babysitter during all this. And she has lots of hate in her heart for me over it. I just hope one day that she can forgive me. But as time went on, I kept on going. I don't know how, but I did. And, well, yeah, I do know how. Because God had me, and I didn't know He did. I continued going. Drugs, I was selling them to get bingo money. I was selling them to feed my kids. And then it got deeper. I was experiencing drugs. I was going to parties and smoking meth. And Thank God it only happened like 3 times. And I never got addicted to it. That's about the highest street drug I ever did, was trying meth. I never tried heroin. But I was against street drugs. I was against those people that was out there doing it. I had no feelings for them. If they wanted to put that stuff in their system, then they deserve to die. And that's how I felt. And then, I had a job in Shelby County, and I was driving back and forth to work. I was doing good. I got over my relationship. I was feeling better about myself, and I met my husband at work. And he was on work release. And we just started bonding, and I was taking him back to work release, and I was talking him up. You're gonna make it. You're gonna get through this. And so we ended up marrying each other. And 5 years into our marriage, my husband was a concrete finisher, and he had an opiate addiction, and he couldn't do it. He had to stay clean while he was on work release. So I was like, yeah, he's not gonna be that addict. When I get with him, it's gonna be the best marriage, blossoms, blah blah blah. Well, the devil said different. 5 years in my marriage, my husband relapsed on heroin. And he'd go on those binges, and he was gone for days. And I couldn't take no more. At this point, my kids are on their own. My baby just graduated. And I felt so much on my shoulders, I was just ready to die. I wanted to give up. And the 6th day that my husband, I hadn't heard from him. They wouldn't answer, his parents wouldn't answer the calls because I was constantly calling, which I probably got on their nerves, I'm sure. But I was never with someone that was in full-blown addiction, so I did not know about the street drug addiction. And our marriage started failing. I could tell a difference in him. And here I'm on the medical grade meth from my doctor, and my husband is relapsing on the heroin. And the 6th day, I hit my knees and I said, Lord, I don't know what's going on, but I can't take it no more. I was screaming. I was by myself, screaming, crying at the top of my lungs. I still never understood it. And I didn't know what else to do. So I tried God again. And I said, Lord, I don't know what's going on. If he's doing drugs, please show me. If he's cheating on me, show me. But I can't do this. I'm sitting here going crazy. And I decided to get this text app number because My husband's parents knew my phone number and they wasn't answering no more. And his brother answered the phone. He said, Verneisha, I can't keep it from you no longer. My husband was in the hospital. He had OD'd the night before. And I was so lost. I didn't know what to do. I just ran to Shelby County Hospital and picked up my husband. And I could smell death on him. I worked in a nursing home. I've done home health, and I knew what death smelled like. And I decided right then and there that my ways was not working out. And if I didn't change something quick, it was going to be bad. So in this process of my husband relapsing, my daughter is an active meth user. And I really didn't know what I was going to do. I had 3 grandbabies. I was worried to death about my daughter, about my husband, and I was losing my mind. So I went to Meridian and I told them I couldn't take no more, that I needed help. And they took me from Meridian to Richmond Hospital. And I walked in there because it was either me go there and get help or the devil was going to take me. I was giving in. I was giving up. I didn't know what else to do. And I walked in there and I was like, I need help. I just want to die. I don't know what else to do. So they're like, well, first of all, we need your phone. I'm like, oh, no, you're not. If my husband or my kids need me, I need my phone. They're like, that's not how it works here. And we also need your clothes and your shoes. And I'm like, what? Why are you doing this to me? They're like, honey, you told us you're suicidal. And we have to protect you. So I laid in that room. And I just cried. And I prayed. And I lost my grandmother to cancer in COVID. And she was my best friend. She was my ride or die. She was my everything. And now I'm without her, and I don't know what I'm going to do. My husband relapsed. I lost everything that I worked for 30-something years. Had 2 brand new cars. Lost them. I couldn't work because my mind was so messed up that I couldn't even function to do my job. I was a crying mess all the time. And I just didn't know what to do. I lost everything. We lost our house. Our cars were down to nothing. I'm sleeping in my daughter's garage. And I wasn't even supposed to be there because my daughter had custody of my 3 grandbabies because my daughter that was addicted to meth had lost them. And I just couldn't take it. It was like the devil was on my family so hard. And I couldn't fight it. And he was always in my mind, always. He's cheating on you, he's doing this, he's doing that. And here I am on all this medication, and the devil was on me 100-fold, and I didn't even realize it. And so I become homeless, and God said, Verneisha, remember all them addicts you hated? Well, I'm dropping you right in the middle of a lot of them. And that's just what he did. I was homeless. We didn't have, neither one of us was working. After my husband had relapsed, we also found out that he had cancer. And so that was another thing on top of me. And so my husband gets, he relapses, we lose everything. He has cancer, and we didn't know it. My daughter was on meth. She lost her children. And now my husband has cancer, and I didn't know what to do. And we went through it. I started talking to a pastor and just getting insight, because I was a mess. If I went to church, I was at the altar all the time, crying belligerently, like I can't take no more. Lord, just take me home. I prayed, God, I want to die. Please just take me. And so he slaps us, my husband and I, in a hotel. And everyone around us was addicts. So not only was he testing my husband, but he is also testing me. And I stay up there probably a month. I start talking to one of the girls that was there. And she was full-blown addicted. On meth, she had lost her children as well. And me and her became pretty close. And it was like by him putting that one addict in my life, I was starting to see. And I think it was just a year clean off of all my medications then. And I was struggling still at this time as well. But as I started talking to her, then she started introducing me to other people, and then they became my family. And I turned to God then. I was like, God, I know you put me out here for some reason. And use me, Lord, for whatever you can use me for. For your glory, though. And I went and I started talking to people and started learning, about their life and what they had been through. And then the Lord led me to talk to the manager. And I went up there and I was talking to her, and her sons were full-blown addicts as well. So she was a lost mother, just like I was. And I started having, the people that I knew here, that was in church come up there and, start giving us all guidance because I had no idea about God neither. But I knew He had placed me there. And because I was against addicts. I didn't care if they lived or they died, honestly. And I started bonding with them out there. And then we started going to church. And then they started getting saved. And that opened my eyes. That just took the blinders completely off of me. And God was like, Verneisha, this is where I want you. And He kept me there for a year. I started talking with them. We started going to church. We were all getting saved together. We were a family. It was beautiful. And then there was more coming. And as they were coming, well, I was going to them. We was going to them. Not just me, we was. Because at this time, we're all going to church. We're having meetings. We're having church in the office. And it was beautiful. And that's when God told me, Verneisha, you don't have to live the way you've been living. You don't have to turn to these people that you think love you, that are taking you for your medications, for your money, that you're buying their love to keep them there. And that's what I was doing. And so I got up there, and my daughter's still in active addiction at this time. I couldn't help her. She hated me. She was convinced that I was the reason why she lost her kids. I was the reason, for everything. She had no, she didn't want to blame herself, so she blamed her mom. And, which is understandable, because I blamed everybody for the reason why I was on all these drugs from my doctor, and why I was eating more than I was supposed to. But I didn't understand it at her perspective, because I wasn't addicted. Yeah, I was on medications from 15 years old until 2 years ago that controlled my life every single day. That's how I raised my kids. That's how I got the energy to work to help support my children, was from that medicine. That's how I didn't have panic attacks. I was going through it. And so I get up there, and I'm a year clean off my medicine, and believe me, it was there. I mean, if I wanted it, I could go right there and get it. But I had to be the strong one, because I felt like God sent me there, because He knew that I needed that more than anybody did, because I didn't understand drugs on the street, and yeah, the guys that I were with, every one of them was an addict of something, drugs or alcohol. And yes, I put that in front of my children. I didn't bring my children up in church, because I didn't even know God, so how could I do it? But God placed me in the middle of lots of addicts. That is where I got my strength from. I got real close to one of the guys that was up there. He was a drinker. I mean, he was drunk every night when I went up there to live. And we started having church and the meetings and stuff. And he was so proud of himself. Everybody was up there, but mainly him. You know, in my eyes, it was mainly him. Sis, I'm so proud of myself. I ain't drank nothing. You know, he lived across from me and he'd call me every morning. Sis, you all right? I love you, you know. Yep, how are you today? And he's he started getting, he was done with the alcohol, but then he picked up doing meth. And he got some bad meth up there. And he lost his mind. And after a year being there, he was still there. And he was still doing, you know, the most. And I don't know, 6 months ago or something, he had hung himself up there. And when I got the news from that, I was upset of how it happened and him taking his own life and everything. But I also had glory because I saw this man give his life to God. And I knew that through all of our troubles and tribulations, that God knows our heart. And that poor guy had been through so much. And God knew his struggles. And when I got the call that he had done that, God had spoke to me and said, he's home. And that was peace for me. Because I took my brother to church. And I know my brother is with God today, regardless. And that's where my peace came from. Was because God set me down set me down with all these people that I thought I hated. And today they're my family. I love them and they love me. And when I didn't think I had any family, even though, you know, I do have family, but I was so bound and hated everything. I hated my life. I was judgmental. I didn't care if I hurt you and how I did it because of all the pain that I went through. So God had set me down there. And he'd opened my eyes. You know, the blinders came off. I wasn't an emotional wreck no more. I could think, and I wasn't putting the blame off on nobody else. You know, I took full, I don't know, I took the blame for everything. You know, everything I had done that I was in denial about, I just laid it out. And the more I did that, I started getting more peace. The more people I talked to at the hotel, I was getting peace. God was revealing to me that these people aren't animals that I thought they were. That they were just like me. You know, and we were all struggling in a way. And we needed each other. And then God got me out of that hotel. And he put me where I'm at now. He, the blinders are off and I'm not bound no more. I'm a very strong, independent person that is willing to open my arms to anyone, and especially addicts. I had went to, started going to church, and a pastor touched my heart at the church I was going to. Pastor Terry. He always messaged me, "Are you all right, sister?" And I never had that. I never had people concerned about me. And then it just kept growing. And then I started getting all these people that love me, and I felt the love. And I started going to church regular. After I lost my grandmother, my husband relapsed. My daughter was in full-blown addiction to meth. And I turned every which way except for the straight way. And I was a big crybaby. I just wanted somebody to feel sorry for me, I guess. That's all I can explain. I thought I was better than everybody. I thought I could whip the world. I was on so many drugs. I didn't care. Somebody, say the wrong thing to me, and I was taking my anger out on them. And I have so much shame for that. And I've asked for forgiveness from those people. And even if you're watching this, please forgive me. Because I'm not that person anymore. My daughter, I started getting into church, and I started fighting the devil. He was on me. And I was on other people just like the devil was on me. Treating them just like the devil was treating me, like I was trash. And I didn't realize how much, I didn't have my father because I went through sexual abuse, and I rebelled from him. And I let that burden me all my life. I couldn't get past it. I even had remorse against God for taking my grandmother, because I didn't know God like I know him today. So I lose my grandma to COVID and lung cancer. I turn my life. I become homeless. I get off the medication. God slaps me down in a hotel full of addicts. He said, "Verneisha, I'm going to show you. You're not going to get nowhere with all that hate in your heart." And that's exactly what he did. When my grandmother passed away, I didn't even want to live. When I was abused, my grandmother was there. She's who saved me. from the abuse I was going through from my mother's drunk boyfriends, from my father's abuse, and I couldn't deal with things. But then God set me down, and I had just lost my grandmother. My husband just had cancer, and by the grace of God, he's cancer-free today. But then it wasn't over. My third child. Okay, let me step back a little bit. It wasn't over. In 2018, my youngest daughter was diagnosed with kidney disease. And she was very bad sick. We were trying to get her through her graduation and her schooling. She missed school. She did, and then she started going to church. She's like, Mom, go to church with me. And I was like, all right. So we went to church, and she dropped her medication. She's like, Mom, I don't need this. And that's where I got my strength from, was from my youngest child. Because she was on blood pressure medications, prednisone. She couldn't finish her sports. She couldn't finish nothing. She couldn't even go to school because she was so sick. And she just turned to God, and she said, Mom, I'm not taking my meds no more, and God's going to heal me of this. And that's exactly what he did. 2 years down the line, my third child started getting sick. And she was diagnosed with kidney cancer. And at this time, I was stronger than I had ever been. It wasn't about, oh my God, help me, I can't do this. It was, Lord, I know you got my baby. And I know you're going to heal my baby. And that's just what he did. And he took the blinders off of me from the hotel and said, Verneisha, let me do the work. And Pastor Terry always told me, Verneisha, you need to walk by faith, not by sight. I never got the concept of that. Never. It took me over a year to get the concept of that. I was an emotional wreck all the time. Every little thing bothered me. I'd shut down, be depressed, lay in bed. Grandma passed away. I lay in bed for 3 months. I didn't even go to her funeral. I was so bad off. And I see all that, I started praying more. I started getting in the Bible. I started going to church. I started mentoring to these addicts that's out here at this hotel. And God just kept revealing more and more and more and opening my eyes so wide. And my daughters were healed, and I'm like, man, this man has done all this. And from the beginning, I let all my trauma stem from my father. When in reality, my father's been here for me from the day I was conceived in the womb of my mother. And I got born again. I got saved. I got baptized. And I'm walking free today. And the devil has no authority over me. The mindset I had, I lay in bed at night, and the devil would it was nonstop. Every negative thing imaginable. And I started learning how to pray that off. When you turn your life over to God, the devil comes through every single crack possible. And I struggled with it in the beginning. And God's like, Verneisha, you have got to get strong. You're mentoring all these people, and you got to get strong yourself, because you can't do it if you're not in the right mindset. And the blinders are off, and I serve a mighty God today. And without him, nothing in this world is possible. I'm free today, because no matter where I go, I don't need nobody, because I know God's with me. And I can't thank him enough for placing me where I was. When you think you're in the worst hell, you might be. But there's only one way out of hell, and that's through Jesus Christ. And I just want to tell anyone that's watching this that all things through Christ is possible. When you think the worst, and you think your life is over, and you can't take no more, or you're alone, you feel like everyone's left you, God is always there, and he hears you. And all you got to do is cry out to him. I used to be the one that would go vent to everyone. All my problems, I can't take this. And people used that against me. They used it for their satisfaction. And I decided a year ago, Father's Day, I went to the altar, and I told God that I'm laying it down, Lord. Everything I've been through, I'm laying it down, and I'm giving every bit of it to you. And the only way I'm going to speak of it is if it's to help somebody else. Because all the glory goes to God. Because he's who got me where I am today. I picked up the Bible, I started reading, and I started going to church. I started watching sermons on TV. I started watching YouTube. And he started revealing it. Everything just started falling right into place. So if you're out there struggling today, don't give up. Just give all of that to the Lord, and he'll take care of it. And you'll start seeing your life prosper, because this world or anybody in it is not going anywhere without Jesus. And he is the way, the truth, and the light. And I'm blessed today because I serve a mighty God named Jesus Christ.